You take a look at this situation, and I know I've had my editorial disagreements with the Wall Street Journal.
Right.
An article in that publication this morning says that these illegal immigrant juveniles are supposed to stay in federal custody until they've received medical screening and can be released to an adult sponsor. Mm-hmm. But you see what's happening. Over 60,000 coming across our border in recent months. You have a clear overload and now a backlog according to current law. And the question has to be, as you look at this, where is our president in all of this? President Obama, last week down in Texas, fundraising, he didn't go to visit the border. And this led a frequent contributor to our program, one of our favorite guests, former presidential candidate and best-selling author Patrick Buchanan, to talk about the president's behavior and to take our commander-in-chief to task earlier on America's Forum. Take a listen.
Well, I think that the President of the United States is a portrait and a dereliction of duty here. He's got an obligation to defend, a constitutional obligation to defend the borders of the United States. He said he was doing it. Transparently, he is not doing it. And the idea that he's out there in Denver playing pool and drinking beer suggests a certain amount of contempt for the people who are concerned about this issue, who have raised this issue and correctly made it an issue, for it is about, JD, the security and survival of the United States of America as one nation and one people. You know, JD, here, I was communications director of the White House for the great communicator himself. And if I were director of communications for President Obama, I would have, you know, in the meeting, I would have said, sir, let me repeat. Now, I know what you said. You are putting out a message of indifference to what is happening on the border when the whole country is consumed by it, especially the American Southwest. You're going to go to Texas and you're not going to the border. Sir, do you understand the message you are sending to the American people, which is either I don't give a hoot or nobody's going to tell me what I have to do and nobody's going to tell me what my obligations and duties are. But really it is a manifest message of really that I really don't give a damn about what is going on in the American border. I'll give them $4 billion and tell them to fix it.
So, you know, even Buchanan, though, he has said in the past that he thinks that this could possibly lead to some states seceding from the Union. Do you agree with that? Is that going too far?
His most recent column has dealt with the balkanization of our society. Right. And rather than secession from Pat, I believe his most recent columns have talked about further subdivision of states. For example, you take a look at what has gone on in California. For a long time now, you've heard of talk of dividing California into 6 or 7 states. Right now in Colorado, you have a situation where a lot of people in that state want to see a separation, the rural counties from the more urban areas. The same thing is even happening in a very deep blue state like Maryland, back on the East Coast, where there's an enclave of conservatives over toward Camp David in the Maryland mountains. So the challenges of this balkanization of our society, they're more than political. They become cultural when you have set up, by whatever situation, whether by government inaction or you name it, you have a situation where you set up an underclass, which is an underclass, yes, economically, but also is afforded certain privileges not afforded to American citizens or legal immigrants. That's what's leading to the frustration and leading to the balkanization, the polarization, and ultimately the talk that we could see separation among these states.
Yeah, we are hearing things like I just mentioned earlier about the governor of Massachusetts saying, you know, we'll take them in. Does that surprise you?
Not in the least. Deval Patrick is one of President Obama's staunchest allies, but this, to quote Yogi Berra, this could be deja vu all over again. Remember in 1978, the Mariel boat lift to South Florida. President Carter went to a young Democratic governor by the name of Bill Clinton and said, can you house these people at Fort Chaffee, Arkansas? That happened, and Bill Clinton lost his race for re-election of governor of Arkansas. Am I saying that Massachusetts is going to change politically? No, I'm just pointing out that for the Democratic Party, not only for President Obama, for everyone who says, oh, this is inevitable, you got to become friendly to every immigrant, whether they're legal or not so fast, because there is going to be significant blowback. We'll see it in the midterms, and it's just sad to see kids, and people in need under this situation here.
And real quickly, we want to mention that actually a recent poll actually shows that despite all of this, that President Obama's approval rating is only down 1%.
Yeah, but that's 42%, which means 58% of the American people are coming at it from another angle, which proves my point about growing political momentum. We will continue to have this conversation. We'll also invite you in on the conversation. Your thoughts about it, welcomed and encouraged. Why don't you tweet us your remarks at NewsMax TV, #America's Forum, and we will continue following this time out.